So, over the last couple of days, there has been a lot going wrong when it comes to Microsoft and the Xbox brand as a whole. Now, ladies and gents, welcome back to another video for today. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a different video, and this is probably going to be somewhat of a decently, long video, we're talking 15-20 minutes and such. We have finally gotten stuff of what is going on with Microsoft, and a lot of fans, including us, are not very happy with what Microsoft is doing, and it just continues to Microsoft is continuing to basically put the Xbox brand basically in the grave and being yep, we don't care what's going on, I'm Phil Spencer and this and that. And a lot of people are just done with Phil, including Sarah Bond and Matt Booty, the other, head of Xbox teams and such. It's time. It is absolutely time. I am with everybody on this. I'm talking people like RGT85, JKB, and freaking Some Ordinary Games and Dreamcast Guy. And I mean, these are YouTubers that mostly say nothing but positive things about Xbox, including all of the mistakes that they have made. But now, these guys are not even saying good things about Xbox. And another good YouTuber that I know is Cole Eastwood, and he is also a very good person. But now, he is not even saying good things about Xbox because of the stupid choices that they are freaking doing. And it's just insane what they're doing and how they're treating the Xbox Series X and S, including of what happened with the Xbox One. But people are going to say, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say this, that the Xbox Series X and S, that Microsoft is treating it better than they did the Xbox One. That is actually not the case, honestly. Yes, the Xbox One had the worst time of the start of review and all that stuff with Don Patrick or whatever his name is, and had the whole online stuff and not trading games and this and that. You had to be always online 24/7 or else you can't play a single freaking game, and you never would own your stuff. It was a total mess. But Microsoft absolutely, when Phil Spencer started to take over, then stuff did started to get a little bit better. And it was Microsoft with Xbox One did have some decently good selection of games. So we're talking Rise Son of Rome, Halo 5 Guardians, and there was a game called Fable Legends, but then there were some games that were scrapped, and it was Scalebound was one of them. But the Xbox One still had some decently first-party games, including Gears of War 4, and then the latest one, yeah, that's right. I was about to say the newest one because we keep hearing about 6 coming out. But even the latest one, which is Gears of War 5, it's also successful, and including some first-party games that came to the Series X still became Xbox One as well. We're talking Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5. Now, the Xbox Series X and S is honestly the worst time Microsoft has even done. We're talking, there's not very many first-party games on the console, and then the games that they release don't even freaking work great half the time. We're talking I was about to say release there for a second, but the release of Redfall, okay? That came out a year ago on May 2nd, 2023, and that game did not have a performance mode. Now, Halo Infinite, even though it is in a much better state than it was at launch, it launched without the campaign for 3 weeks after the multiplayer was launched, but worse, it actually didn't have features like co-op campaign and as well as that one mode, Forge. Yeah, it didn't have those modes like any other Halo game had at launch, especially Halo 1 for the original Xbox had, I about said Xbox 360 there, but Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 1, I'm pretty aware that that game had co-op once it launched with the original Xbox. And then Halo 2 also had it, then also Halo 3 had it. But let's go on with these 3 articles that we got from you. And this is where a lot of people are absolutely pissed at Microsoft right now and are just wanting Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and just the lead heads to be fired. And I truthfully think it is time. It's time for Xbox to get new leadership. But we're starting out right here, and it goes on to say Microsoft closes developer Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts at Bethesda. So continuing on, Microsoft has closed a number of Bethesda studios, including Redfall maker Arcane Austin, Hi-Fi Rush, and the Evil Within developer Tango Gameworks. Now, these are developers that have made games that were very successful and that had awesome critical, scores on GameStop and, the list of sites or whatever, had really good high scores. And yet, Microsoft is just closing them because they just want to, is what it's looking like. But we're continuing on. And then it says more in devastating cuts at Bethesda, IGN confirms. Alpha Dog Games, maker of mobile game Mighty Doom, will also close. Roundhouse Studios will be absorbed by the Elder Scrolls Online developer ZeniMax Online Studios. Microsoft is currently valued at over 3 trillion. You see that word right there. Not 3 million, not 3 billion, not 30 billion, not especially 300 billion, but 3 trillion is how much Microsoft is worth. And then we continue, and it says, did not say how many staff will lose their jobs, but significant layoffs are inevitable. IGN has asked Bethesda for a comment. Microsoft declined to expand further when contacted by IGN. On Redfall, here's another thing right here. And this is where I kind of think that Microsoft made the worst choice ever. But it continues on, and it says, on Redfall, the disastrous vampire co-op game will now not receive promised updates, including an offline mode. Now, right there at the end of itself is not a very good look at Microsoft. Yeah, the game was rushed, and it did not meet expectations, but I do know some people that absolutely like Redfall. I can already say RGT85 is one of the only YouTubers that I watch that absolutely did not like the game a whole lot, but he still liked the game enough to play it, and I can't remember if he bought it or he just got it from Game Pass. But that right there is just not a very good move, because even if that game does not have a ton of people, I know that there are some people that like the game, and then them not being able to have access is what I'm trying to say is completely nonsense. Them not having access to a game that they bought, especially for $70, they can't even freaking play the game offline if something in the future goes on or goes to, happening is what I'm trying to say. I know I keep screwing up there, so I'm sorry about that, but you get my point. If even though the developer is not developing this game for the online updates, in case Microsoft in the future decides to be we're going to shut down the servers for this game, then people can't play the game that bought the game, that have access to it, and that like the game. So right there is not a good look for Microsoft. And then we're going to continue on, and then it says, in new character DLC, as Microsoft has ended all development on the game, Microsoft said Redfall will remain online to play, and it will provide a make-good offer for those who bought the Hero DLC. Now, this is from Ukraine Austin Studios, and it says, today it was announced that Ukraine Austin will close development, will not continue on Redfall. To everyone that has supported, I don't know what I was about to say surpassed there, but supported the work from our Austin studio over the years, thank you. Thank you for spending time in our worlds and making them your own. Ukraine Lion will continue their focus on immersive experience where they are hard at work on their upcoming project. Redfall players who purchase the Hero Pass as part of the Premium Buyback Edition or the Premium Buyback upgrade will be eligible to receive the value of the upgrade. While there will be no further updates, Redfall servers will remain online to the players to enjoy. Now, that I will admit a little bit is some good news, but the fact of the matter is, if Microsoft in the future, like let's say 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years later, they don't see that there's enough people on there. There's like only maybe like a select few hundred, and they're just like, yeah, we don't have enough people on this. Let's just close the game, shut it down. And then people can't even play the game for just fun offline, since it is like pretty much like a single player first person shooter to explore. Like that's just ridiculous. And Microsoft still has DRM for a lot of their games. So even still to this day, with what happened with the Xbox One, with the Xbox Series X and S consoles going on 4 years, you still have to be online just to play single player games. Whereas if you have a Sony console like Sony's PlayStation 4 or even their current gen console, the PlayStation 5, you can play any of their first party single player games literally offline. You don't have to have an internet connection. You literally can just pop that disc in, it will install the game, and boom, you can start the game up and play it. Or you can take your console to a buddy's house, get the latest update, and still put that disc in, and boom, you're rocking with the latest update, and you're playing offline. So, Microsoft is just honestly not in a very, very good spot right now when it comes to the Xbox brand as a whole, and it honestly upsets me. But let's continuing on, and it continues on here, and it says Ukraine Lion, which is working on Marvel's Blade, survives the cool, as does Bethesda Game Studios, Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and Starfield, and the Machine Games, Indiana Jones, and The Great Circle. Doom developer ID Software is also unaffected by this. So, this is just not absolutely looking all that great right now. So we're going to go on ahead and let's go to a different one. And then here is some of the developers are actually worried about losing their jobs. So because what Microsoft has done with closing these 4 studios, now there are other companies under Microsoft's umbrella and developers that are literally freaking out of their minds because they're worried about something like this going on. And Microsoft has even announced that there is going to be more layoffs possibly coming in the near future. So now gaming is like being affected by this, and it's not just gaming as well, but with this part, closing 4 studios that have made awesome games, like we're talking like Prey, The Evil Within, and the latest awesome critical acclaim game, Hi-Fi Rush. Like, this is just nonsense of what Microsoft is doing. But there's another article that we're on here, and it says, making great games no longer keeps you safe from closure, says developer. So this is where a developer is also staying, and it says Microsoft has just closed 4 of its studios yesterday. Following the closure, many developers have shared their thoughts on the state of the gaming industry. One developer stated that making great or big games no longer matters since it doesn't guarantee safety. So right there is what we're saying. Like, developers are just afraid. They are like literally freaking out of their minds because they're worried about losing their jobs because Microsoft wants to be something that's going to hit. Okay, if you want something that's going to hit Microsoft, then you need to figure out a way to sell consoles. Because if you are not selling consoles and you got this game only on consoles and PC, then the consoles are not going to sell that many copies. Like, that's just the reality of it. So then moving on, and the developer who spend years of their lives dedicated to creating award-winning gaming experience each year have been left devastating by the industry's current turmoil, or whatever the heck that word's called, as it faces layoffs, studio closures, and more. Among the recent closures, Xbox has been the latest to shut down 4 of its Bethesda studios, which we've already told about. This announcement has left the entire industry devastating, with developers admitting that making great games is no longer enough in the industry. So, yeah, so like right there, developers are just absolutely freaking out of their minds because they're worried about losing their jobs. So then now we're going to move on to the latest article, and this is what's going to make like Xbox worse. Well, it's pretty much making Xbox worse already at this point. But now there has been a thing saying that Xbox Game Pass price reportedly may increase. And so there you go. Just look at what Microsoft is doing. They're taking away games, especially developers that have really good talent that make great games. They're taking them away so you get less on Game Pass, and then yet they're talking about raising the prices. And now you're going to be paying more for literally getting less quality games. And they have always stated, at least Phil Spencer has always stated, that you are always guaranteed with quality games on Xbox Game Pass. Well, Phil Spencer, let me just say something to you. No, that's not the case. Because why was Halo Infinite rushed out with features that it should have had? Why was Redfall rushed out, buggy, and didn't have a performance of a 60 FPS mode at launch? And then the same thing goes with Starfield, even though Starfield I don't think was that big of a deal. But thankfully here in the next week or so, we are finally getting an update for Starfield that's going to have a 40 FPS and a 60 FPS performance modes, finally, for Xbox Series X owners. But when you look at games like Redfall, Halo Infinite, and such, and there's been a countless of other games that have been released broken, then you would have actually not have to worry if the games were basically, like, finished. Now, I know I stopped there for a second, but there was like a noise just literally outside my window here. It's kind of freaked me out a little bit there, so that's why I got quiet for like 2 seconds. But you get my point. Like, if the games were finished, you know, they would have probably sold a decent bit of numbers. Now, we do have Indiana Jones, especially the game that is playing right here on this little, like, video right here that is on. We still got that game to look forward to and a couple others. But I'm telling you, like, right now, it's just not looking good for Microsoft right now. And they just continue to kill the Xbox and put it deeply in the grave. And they just keep cambering on it and not actually doing what needs to be done to bring it up. But here we go. And it says Xbox Game Pass remains one of the cheapest ways to enjoy new games, but it sounds like the cost could end up getting a little bit higher, according to a new report from The Verge. Microsoft is once again considering a price increase for the subscription service. Nothing has been confirmed at this time, I was about to say at this point, but sources for the report indicate that there is a lot of internal debut surrounding the service and how to best handle both the price, and while content gets added, it's worth nothing. I don't know why they said that, but they just put nothing instead of actually put nothing. It's worth nothing that the price of Xbox Game Pass was just increased last year, with a standard subscription going from $9.99 to $10.99 and Game Pass Ultimate increasing from $14.99 to $16.99. Now, I don't think that this is a big deal. If they do go up for like $1 or $2, I mean, $18.99 and freaking like $12.99 or for whatever for the regular package, and like $18.99 for the Ultimate, I honestly don't think that that would be a huge deal. But if they're not going to be adding stuff to basically, you know, make the price worth it, it's not even worth adding or increasing the price. It's just not worth increasing the price like $2 of Xbox Game Pass on both sides, Standard Edition and the Ultimate Edition. But will Call of Duty come to Xbox? And this is another concern. In addition to concerns over price, it seems that Xbox continues to internally debut whether Call of Duty games should be released day one on the service, just like other first-party games. The addition of Call of Duty games to Xbox Game Pass always seemed to be likely outcome from the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. However, there are reportedly concerns about Game Pass cutting into the profits of the series. Call of Duty is a series that has sold incredibly well for Activision Blizzard, and Microsoft seems hesitant to do anything that it could jeopardize those profits. The service has also seen a slowdown in subscribers, which might explain any efforts to rethink the overall Game Pass strategy. So this is another report that has been going on for basically quite some time, like literally over the last 1 to 2 years or such. So apparently there have been games that haven't been making the amount of profits, and if you are looking back, and this is one of the reasons why there has been so many layoffs, is the fact that the games are just costing way too much to produce. Like Spider-Man 2018 was actually considered $110 million to produce. So Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, the Spider-Man 2018 game, cost the developer Insomniac Games $110 million to make. But the latest one, which is Spider-Man 2, only for the PlayStation 5, that came out in just recently in October of 2023, let's think about that. Oh yeah, it cost Insomniac Games $350 million. Now that is 3 times, almost 4 times more than what Spider-Man 2018 actually cost, and that game was released 5 years ago. Well, basically going on 5.5, going on 6 at this point. So yeah, $110 million and then $350 million on the pre-sequel, or the sequel I should say. I don't know why I said pre-sequel, but on the sequel, that's insane. So Game Pass is actually not really helping profits for those developers in need. And I think that could be another thing of what's going on with the developer Tango Gameworks when it comes to Hi-Fi Rush. Even though it was critically acclaimed as one of Xbox's best games in recent years, it's actually probably just been from people playing who just play on Game Pass and probably never bought the game. So then the developer did not make its money back. So it's a really weird situation with Xbox right now. Like, they're closing down good studios, but yet they have the money to continue to do so, but then games are taking forever to make and costing way more in profits, or budgets I should say. I don't know why I said profits, but you get it. Like, games are just costing way too much in profits. And I said it again. Oh, I know, I'm a little bit messed up right now. I'm just a little bit aggravated with way Microsoft is going with stuff. But you get the point, like how much games are costing. It's insane. So with this is just killing Xbox altogether. Like, we're just killing the Xbox brand. Like, Microsoft needs new leadership at this point, because I think Phil Spencer is just not doing a very good job at this point. And I've even seen from all the other YouTubers that I watch, Dreamcast Guy, RGT85, JKB, and like I said, the list goes on, they have stated that, yeah, it's officially time for Phil Spencer to either be held accountable or just get fired, and Microsoft gets a new leadership at the head of Xbox. Because, like, you shut down talent studios that have made some of the best games out there, that don't release rush games, and yet you just don't want them. And this is what everybody is saying, is that they are buying all these studios, and then they're just basically like, yeah, okay, yeah, we got to shut these down, We just wanted to buy you guys so we can destroy you. And that's what it seems like that they're doing at this point. Because if you remember, back in January of this year, of the start of 2024, they literally fired, or laid off, I should say, 1,900 people. Now, Sony also did lay off some people as well about a month or so later in February, but it was not nearly as much. We're only talking 900 people then compared to 2,000. So, yeah, like, all of this stuff is just not looking great, and I've seen people have stated that they're canceling their Xbox Game Pass subscription because it's not worth it. And then especially with rumors about what this is saying about a price increase, it's like, okay, you're shutting down great developers with great games, and you're not wanting to, you know, expand, like make like something like, let's say, Hi-Fi Rush 2 that would be a sequel to that game, and it probably would do just okay, just like Hi-Fi Rush did from last year. And so at this point, it's like, okay, what's even the point of even having Game Pass if they're just not going to add new quality games, and they're just going to release bad games like Redfall, like Halo Infinite, just the list goes on, and like, why? And then what makes it even more interesting, it's like, why even own an Xbox? Because you have nothing to play on. And this is another concern that I have. Now, Xbox is what I started online gaming. Back on the Xbox 360, back in 2013 to 2014. And I love the Xbox 360. It is my favorite game console of all time because it has the best controller, the best catalog of games. But it's so bad that even Sony's last-gen console, you have countless of games to play. Like, I'm telling you, like, I can't even find nothing to play on the Xbox Series X or even my Xbox One X at this point, except for third-party games. But if I go to the PlayStation 5, or hell, even the PlayStation 4 Pro, I got a ton of games that I can play. Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West that we are currently in the middle of playing on our PS5. We've even replayed and revisit The Last of Us Part 2 on our PlayStation 4. And we're thinking about revisiting Uncharted 4 on the PS4. Like, there's just so many games on the PlayStation that I can pick and that has good quality, that has replayability and such, and that will keep me entertained. But when it comes to the Xbox console, including the Xbox Series X, there's just nothing to really play. And that just, it's sad to say, but yeah, like, you can find something to play on Sony's last-gen console, the PlayStation 4, and you can't even find nothing to play on an Xbox Series X? Like, come on, Microsoft. Like, you definitely need new leadership at this point. Like, if people can find stuff to play on a last-gen console of Sony with the PS4, and you can't find nothing to play on an Xbox Series X, what is even the point of even owning an Xbox at all? What is even the point? Like, it defeats the purpose. Like, no games. Why buy the console if there is no games on it? It doesn't make any freaking bit of sense. And I am with everybody on this topic that it is time for Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty. It is time for Xbox to get new leadership for Microsoft and new heads of Xbox, and that way they can hopefully turn stuff around. Because Phil Spencer lies out of his ass, and he does not know what the heck he's talking about. He'll say one thing and then do the complete opposite some other time down the road. Like they've said, he wants to have the developers to have creativity. I couldn't pronounce it there for a second. He wants to have the developers to do and to create what they want, but then it's just like a year later after that statement he said, he's like, nope, you didn't meet our expectations, we got to close you. You don't have the option to do what you want, even though I said it in the interview. It's time. It's officially time for Xbox to get new leadership. It's officially time. because Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, and them, they are literally just killing the brand. They're literally just doing whatever they can to make sure Xbox is literally down in the ground and it will not be a console anymore. And then guess what? Awesome corporate Sony greed will happen. And there will not be no competition. And Sony will try to steal everybody's penny that they can get off on every consumer of theirs that has a PlayStation. So, and it's just not looking good altogether. So, yeah. It's officially time for Microsoft to get new leadership. I know I've said it like 4 or 5 times on this video, but yeah, it's officially time. So, I hope you enjoyed this rant that we had for you, minus the screw-ups that we had a couple times because of, you know, how frustrated we are with the decisions that Microsoft has been doing here lately in the last few months and such, with all these layoffs and then now closing awesome developers that make really good games. So, just hit that like button if you enjoy this content, and just subscribe if you are new to the channel, and we'll keep you posted with more content like this going forward. And let us know in the comment section down below of your thoughts of these horrible decisions that Microsoft has done, and if you agree that it is time for Microsoft, the team of Xbox, to get new leadership from Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty. Because honestly, I'm with all the other YouTube content creators like Dreamcast Guy, RGT85, and the list goes on. I am just with them at this point because it's officially time. They just don't know what the hell that they're doing at Xbox right now. So, this is Tech and Gaming Review. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Rate, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys on the next video. So, peace!